Leak something already?
Yeah, it's like really bad. Like the whole uh competitive like MTG is like going down. They like cut a bunch of prizes and all this shit too.
For reals? Alright,
Yeah,
well, do you
I'll
got
show
a
you
link?
that.
Alright, cool. Snap, alright. Alright, here we go. We live. Starting soon. And I gotta work on my transitions. Oops. Put this over here. And we are there. Alright, everybody. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Spencer. This is the Alex Spencer podcast. Joining me today
Yo.
is good old Alex B. We're back at it again, ladies and gentlemen. Say hi, Alex.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it again with another beautiful MTG podcast. This is Alex and I's third podcast, and we're going to talk about something very special today. What's today's date? Today is the 27th of May.
26.
26th, sorry. 26th there in
26 over here.
26 for you, 27 for me. So happy Memorial Day. Hope everyone had a very relaxing weekend. And let's just jump right into it, shall we? Today's topics we want to discuss. Let's go with topic number one, our mythic grind. Right? Mythic. So I just want to let everybody know Alex and I both hit mythic last week. Alex was playing it Jund Monsters, and I was playing good old Mono Red. So let's go ahead and I think you were featured, right? You were featured on the MTG Arena Zone.
Yeah, someone wrote an article about the decks for that week. Yeah, they chose my deck on MTGA Arena Zone. So that was cool. But it was it was a Jund Monsters, Jund Dinosaurs deck. That was doing fairly well for me. It's lost a lot of steam now that blue white Yorion's picked up, but it's still a good choice. Still has some pretty busted draws. Um, it still has the turn 3 into turn 4, 18 damage. Oh no, wait, 14 damage with Rotting Regisaur, which is really nice. Rotting Regisaur Embercleave combo is kind of like Splinter Twin in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, it's a strong deck. Shoot, you want me to just go over it or?
Yeah. I'm trying to find it.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up.
It was on like articles, like last week's articles.
Yeah, someone wrote an article about it. I'm trying to bring that up so you can talk about that a little bit.
Someone, yeah, I thought I had it.
It was like here. I remember seeing it. I was like super hyped because I saw you on the thing, and I was like reading. I was like, that's you." Because I was clowning you. Yeah, I was clowning you earlier, like in the week. I hit Mythic, and I was like, man, like I remember Alex hit Mythic with Bant like 2 days before the reset. Then I went to your Twitter to make fun of you because I was gonna show it that I was like, oh, I hit Mythic before Alex, and then I saw that you hit Mythic the day before I did, and I was like, oh, you beat me to it.
Got him again. Yeah, so it's regardless if you pull it up or not, but it's a cool deck. It's centered around Marauding Raptor. It's a 2-drop, and it has Arboreal Grazer. So those 2 cards are going to get you either from 1 to 3 on turn 2, or 2 to 4 on turn 3. Yeah, there you go. I mean, no, that's an old deck actually. Just put in Jund.
That's right. I should put in
Jund. But yeah, it's basically an aggro deck centered around Rotting Regisaur, Questing Beast, Stretching Ceratops, and the reds for Embercleave and Raptor. So yeah, it's strong. I like it. Shifting Ceratops is probably one of the best cards right now to fight against the Yorion decks, just because they can't Teferi it and they can't block it with their Yorion.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. That's the deck. And I also added the Kihira. Like Kihira was added because you could. I mean, all the creatures fit the companion, stipulations. The only problem with Kahira is you can't Kahira after you Raptor, because Raptor deals 2 damage to all creatures at the exchange of making them cost 1 less, and she has 2 power. So you want to sequence it. Usually, if you don't have Raptor, you can just play Kahira turn 2 after a Grazer, and that could be one way to do it. Or you don't play it, and then you just try to kill them with your Raptor and everything else. And usually they're going to have to start dealing with your threats. And Raptor is one of the first threats that they want to deal with, just because it's making everything else cost cheaper. So they kill that, then you follow up with the Kahira. But yeah, I think the deck is strong overall, and you have Heartless Prey and Duress in the sideboard. That's the other main reason for going black.
Nice.
You get Duress post board, and you get Heartless Act, and I had the one easy Prey I was trying out there just to get guys out of your way and keep the beats coming in.
Okay, well, I have a couple of questions for you, my good friend. What do you think about playing Embercleave in this economy? I mean, that gets so much hate. You know, I'm an expert mono red player. You know what I mean? Like, I've been playing
Yeah.
red is not dead. However,
Yeah.
Embercleave is dead in mono red. So I'm so curious about your thoughts of playing Embercleave. Why was Embercleave? Is it naturally in the Jund deck?
So I think the hate for it, if it's getting hated on, then you're obviously not Embercleaving them correctly. Usually, like, you're not killing them, is what I mean. Because what's the hate for it? Conqueror's Death, a counter spell. Like, when it hits you, you should be dead, right? And I think in mono red, especially the Obosh red, like, you can hit them with like little 1/1s, and then they become 2/2s. Whereas this deck, it's becoming, an 8/7, best case scenario.
What made you pick this deck over Yorion decks?
I was just tired of playing Yorion mirrors.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, everyone's tired of them. I still play Yorion still, like the blue-white deck, but yeah, I think with Embercleave, there's hate, but like any card, you just, you do the effect. The great thing about Embercleave is it has flash, it hits them right away, and hopefully they're dead. And if they're not, they're close to dead. So
Good.
I'm not worried that much about the hate for it. I just don't think it fits in the mono red deck as well, because like, you only have Ajax or Anax or whatever.
Anax.
He's the only guy that if you strap it to him, they're probably dead. But if you don't have Anax and you strap it to a Scorching, whatever that guy is, Scorch Spitter, or like any of your other ones, it's like, it's not that good in mono red. Whereas this deck, you strap it to any of the guys, most of them are going to deal 10 damage or more.
Great. I'm really liking this. What is it? This Gem Razor. I feel that Gem Razor is one of the most
nice.
Yeah, one of the most ballinest cards I've seen from not just the mutate section, right? From all these mutate cards. I think it was a very good addition, because I think mutate's very weak in constructed, right? You have to have either a mutate deck, which we've seen either the green variants where you ramp up to something lit, or the black blue variant where you make them sacrifice or bounce a lot of stuff, right? So those are the two variants that typically we see. Gem Razor, I think, is a very beautiful addition in the green decks, anything running green. So that's actually super lit. And I've been seeing people strap Gem Razor to a turn 1. What's his face? What's that artifact that has multicolored shroud?
Oh, Stone Coil.
Yeah. That's that trick, the turn 1, the turn 2, turn 3, whatever. Like, it's pretty ballin'. So that's pretty good. This seems like a very advanced version of Red Green. It's like if Red Green had a facelift and Splash Black.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's what I was playing before this. I was playing the Red Green deck with the 4 Stone Coils, and I just wanted Duress sideboard was like the first thing, and then I wanted more dinosaurs, because Raptor is better when you play more dinosaurs. Like he's cool when you play questing beast and you get a questing beast on turn 3. That's cool, but he doesn't get the +2/+0 unless you play a dinosaur. So I really wanted him to be hitting as a 4/3 for 2 as much as possible, which would let me to add the Regisaur and then go all in on the black. But Gemrazor is really great as well. You can strap them like late game. I was playing against blue white. You know, they had Omen of the Sun and they had 1/1 tokens blocking my Regisaur. I strapped the Gemrazor to the Regisaur, gave him reach and trample, and now I was getting in for 6 damage and breaking that board stall there. So there's little tips and tricks with Gemrazor for sure. But you are correct. Like mutate isn't really something you can normally just slot into any deck. You really have to be thoughtful with mutation, and like there is the all-in mutate decks, like the green blue one I think is really strong, because it has so many guys that it ramps out and it flips over free guys off the top of your deck. But overall, yeah, like Gemrazor is kind of one of the only mutate creatures that you see coming into just regular decks and slotting in there.
Nice. All right. Well, what are some of your weaknesses? What were some of the worst matchups for you? What were some of the struggles you had climbing or grinding the ladder, hitting Mythic this season using Jund Dinosaurs?
So Mono Red was one of the stronger matchups, which is why I really like this deck. Mono Obosh Red was getting popular. Jeskai Luca was getting popular, which this is a great matchup for you as well. And it's a good matchup against the Bant one as well. The only time that it started to pivot was this recent week when the blue-white Yorion, the deck went from having a favorable Yorion to kind of like an even matchup post-board. And I think that's because they're committing, 4 shatters. They have the Omen of the Suns to block. So did the other deck, but they have a lot more counter spells. They have 4 Ether Gust post board. It's just like an all-in control deck, and I still think you can beat that deck. But cards like Regisaur that are making you lose a lot of your resources and going all in on the damage become a lot less appealing when he doesn't get a hit in or 2 before that happens. So then you have to kind of like play off the top of your deck, hope to draw your Shifting Ceratops, which is one of your best cards against them. And then maybe slip an Embercleave under there when they tap out. But there's the sack decks can be tough too if you don't get the Embercleave. But overall, I think a deck has pretty good matchups across the board.
All right, dope. What were some of your? Oh, you covered some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses. Any changes? Anything? Any changes that you would make if you were gonna grind this again?
Heartless Axe and Easy Praise. You can trim on those depending on your metagame and what you've been seeing. Obviously, they're not that great against the control decks. Easy Prey is better because it can cycle in that matchup, but I would think about maybe potentially either going more in on the creatures, maybe adding that Gemrazor or those Brontodons, or if you want to disrupt, getting the drill bits or duresses into the main deck somehow.
Right, nice. Yeah, I was noticing you put Easy Prey in there. I haven't seen that card. I was like looking at the list and I was like, what the heck did he choose that card for? And I was like, this is my friend. I should text him. I was like, what the heck?
Easy Prey. It's good against like mono red and small decks, creature decks. There's the Knights deck been popping up, and it's fine against like Luris decks, and it's fine against cycling decks. The cycling deck can be one of your harder matchups, actually, now that I think about that, just because they can trade resources on the board pretty well, so it can be hard to get damage in, and their late game of Solar Flare or Solar Zenix, whatever that card is.
Zenith Flare Fool.
Zenith Flare. Solar Flare is super old card.
Solar Flare.
That's a throwback. If anyone knows Solar Flare,
It's like Solar Flare for real.
Well, that deck can be hard because, like, at the end of the day, they just
get you.
Yeah, I think Easy Prey is a good card for sure. Any card that has cycling and is like decent on its own.
Okay, okay, okay. Good. Thanks for sharing some of this wisdom here. One last question: Would you play this? Would you play this competitively, or was this just for the ladder?
I would play this competitively. Yeah, I love the deck. I think it's like one of the few decks that you get to swing with big creatures, which I think Magic needs more of. You know, I think they're getting so caught up in all this value and these blinks and coming into play, and everything has to have like a bunch of
Extra
value. But
triggers. Everything
these
has to have double
are like
value.
pure beaters in the format, mainly questing beast and shifting Ceratops. So I've been trying many different decks that include those four guys. Uh, and I'm thinking about maybe mono green because there's a lot of strong creatures in the format. It's just they need to get in for damage, and
All
there's
right.
a lot of good ways to deal with them. So yeah, I still would play it for sure. If you like aggro and you don't want to play mono red, this is a good alternative.
All right. Well, congratulations again. You're getting Mythic. Last week, Alex also was part of this super cool. He made it to the arena MTG arena zone. He made it before me. Kind of envious, but it's
Yeah,
okay. I'm not mad. I'm happy for my friend. You have to shout out to the homies out there. So everybody, this is Alex's list. He hit Mythic last week. 96, 97%, huh? Right? That was pretty nice. I like your board here. Really good board options. This feels like that. It really feels like red green aggro splash black.
pretty much is. It's literally what I was playing before I splashed the black.
Nice. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm just gonna grab any random mono red because that's essentially the deck I was.
Obosh red, yeah.
Yeah, Obosh red. I'll just pull one up. Here we go.
You're on that Obosh. I think I saw one right there.
Yeah, I'll just grab one because I'm sure it's gonna be very similar to what the heck I was playing. Um, I had four shocks, and yeah, this is the list.
Good. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, ask away. Let's go ahead and talk about this mono red list.
All right. So with mono red, I noticed, and I played this deck a little bit, so I have a little bit insight, but I definitely am curious. It's the premier mono red deck, and it has 0 Embercleave, 0 Torban, which are like those are like the autos, right? What's going on?
So, good question. Embercleave, as I asked you earlier against your in Jun Aggro, it was really bad to cast in this economy. Everyone knew it's coming. Mono red, I was telling everyone that it has one. Every deck in standard wants to have multiple tools, right? Like different value cards, many value cards. I noticed that mono red had one tool, and it's a hammer, right? And it's a very good hammer if it gets there. And if you just run out of steam using Embercleave, or you whiff or you miss, and I think we were talking about this, last podcast, you just totally miss and it sucks. Everyone knew you had Embercleave. Every time you attacked, you had Embercleave. It was no longer an element of surprise. People always
So
assumed
what
you
would
had
they
it.
do about it? Who cares if it's surprise or not? It's a hammer.
That's true. No, you're right. It's not that you're not wrong.
You're gonna
It's
get hit.
you're gonna get hit. No, I completely understand. People
Do they
just
have
were.
like, was there like I know Wilt's a card, but I don't really see Wilt play that much. That's an instant speed like reaction.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
doesn't it fit in this deck? I don't.
They as I can see here, they removed the 4 Embercleaves for the Heraldic Banner. So
Okay.
one artifact for another.
So
And
Heraldic may just be better in this deck.
I think that this card infinitely helps not just the strength of all your little bros, like your critters get a little bit better, but it helps the mana curve. It pushes a Bosch coming out on turn 4, which
Okay.
is ballin'. And people start slipping because when you can power out a turn 4 Obosh, especially it pumps him as well, making him a 4/5, doubling his damage. It creates like um, this super cool like synergy with the rest of your like you get to play your little dudes, and you get to start playing this kind of chess game with your opponent. And I think when I was grinding out like on the ladder, uh, people would for sure forget that Heraldic Banner was in the deck. Like they would stop a critter, kill a critter, block a critter, and then I would be like Heraldic Banner, second main, tap it for the land or for the mana, and then play a thing. And I think that this feels way more valuable at times than Embercleave because it pumps the whole team. And every card you draw off the top of your library is fire. You know, you can grab a Scorch Spit, oh no, a Tin Street Dodger, and with the extra mana, give it haste and just attack. Like it was just really, 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 really good. And Obosh is now your automatic Torbrand. You know,
Gotcha.
yeah, your automatic Torbrand. Instead of having like what do you call this? 3 copies of Embercleave and like 2 copies of Torbrand, you would have your automatic turn 5 Obosh, and you can have multiple copies of Heraldic Banner. I think multiple copies of
Like,
Banner
kinda
was just
take
great.
away all these payoff cards in your main deck and just fill the deck with more early game consistency.
Yeah, the
Not right?
the problem that I saw with Mono Red for this season, last season, the season before that, it had very weak turn 2 cards. Seriously, like the best turn, they had 2 turn 2 cards that were automatic. Well, one of them was automatic. It's still in the format. Do you remember its name?
Steamkin,
Steamkin. And then what's the next best turn 2 red card? The next
Crusher
best one.
Giant,
Which one?
Bone Crusher Giant.
That's a turn 3 card. Its stomp ability is dope,
Yeah.
but its creature. What's the best turn 2 creature after Steamkin? Do you remember?
Uh, there is none. They all suck.
There's one more. He has haste. He rips the top card
Oh,
of your
yeah.
opponent's library.
The Rich is really good, actually.
Yeah, that's the next best. That's the next best red card.
Why isn't it running any of these cards? These seem like great cards.
The well, apart from Obosh limiting you from doing that,
Can't run any of them.
you
Yeah.
can't run it, right? You can't run the Robber of the Rich. You can't run Steamkin, and those are the best cards. And we needed one more turn 2.
Better than those 2 cards then?
That's a good question. Is Obosh better than those 2 cards? I don't think so. But I think the
Deck then?
which one?
Are you still playing in this deck?
This one? Yes. I'm still playing this. I mine is a little bit more I have 4 shocks instead of the Phoenix of Ash. I don't really like Phoenix of Ash. But it's not the best turn 3. I am so much happier with Goblin War Boss or Legion War Boss. I think
Nice.
that's such a spicy card. People forgot about
So
Legion
you
War
would
Boss.
recommend putting in War Boss there, huh?
I have one War Boss in my board because people forgot about the card. I think it's a kiki sneaky type of card where people just love to wrath you. You know, against Yorion decks, they bring in the 4 wraths. They bring in the what is it? What's the 3 mana sweeper that gives lifelink?
Clarion.
Yeah, Clarion. They bring all the sweepers, and then I put in a bro, they kill it. I put in a bro, they kill it, and then after they exhaust all the sweepers, I'm just like, here's another guy. And you know as much as I know, if you slam down a unanswered Goblin War Boss, you've bossed to win the game.
Yeah, Legion War Boss is a card that Jeskai Fires previously used as a sideboard trump answer to everyone removing the sweeper. So yeah, if they only have a sweeper and they let War Boss sit on the table for a turn or two, especially with the Heraldic Banner in play, they're gonna get buried in damage within the next 2 turns and be dead fairly quickly. What about all these guys? Like, why one over the other? Is just the 4 best 1-drops in red? Like, I don't think they're like, you mentioned that every draw is a sick draw. These guys, they don't look that sick to me, honestly.
No, you're right. You're right.
Cards, to be honest with you.
No, you're. I'm not gonna lie. Having a fistful of 1/1s is really crappy. It's pretty bad. It feels like a gamble, right? You know, it's even worse. This is like the worst thing that can happen in mono red, and people can argue with me. When you draw your opening 7, and you have no 1-drops, and the deck runs like 16.
Oh, that sounds just like a nightmare.
Oh yeah, and it's what's worse is when you follow it up, right? You go turn one, 1-1, turn two, nothing, right?
Yeah.
Or you play another 1-1. You're like, okay, great.
Well, that's
Uh,
why I like the Bone Crusher as like your pseudo two drop if you don't have anything to do. Like even if they don't have anything to stomp, I don't even have a problem with just stomping their face end step turn two, untapping and just casting him, getting that extra 2 damage and having a 4/3. Like he gives you stuff to do, which I really like Bone Crusher in this deck. Anax obviously is like a mono red staple. The one drops though, what's the best one? What's the worst one? Which one should people be boarding out? Are there other options?
Good question. I would say let's look at there's a tie. There's a tie. The best one would be uh, that's a tie. It's a tie between. It's so tough because of your situation in your scenario, right? Let's
You
just
need
say
some are better in different scenarios.
exactly. Best case scenario, you're on the play. You would love a pair of fervent champions. Like
Urban.
that's just like the
Or
Goblin
Trips.
Guide
Trips is
bringing.
like insane, right?
Yeah, like you love this card, right? But how I play this deck, I love using Scorch Spitter on turn one. Scorch Spitter on
And
turn
that
one.
two. He's
He
like
does
a two consistent two.
he does a consistent two. He sneaks in to turn on your light up the stage, which no other card kind of does it until 10th Street Dodger came back. So I would say if there's an MVP, it'd probably be Scorch Spitter. However, Scorch Spitter always hits the board. Second main, he always hits the board. You always take him out because against every matchup, he either gets removed or he gets traded,
Yeah.
right? Or in the mirror, they play the super cool, where is it? Blazing Volley, which is now in almost every deck that runs red, except for Yorion, of course. But I would see Blazing Volley being the key card against this deck. The guy that made the two cards that made a comeback was 10th Street Dodger, which was in the original red.
Right. If you have that extra mana around, he's always getting in, right?
You get that
He's
extra mana from this buddy right here, from that Heraldic Banner. That's what makes that card so amazing.
So that's kind of cool with him, the Heraldic Banner, and the Obosh. That's just 4 damage getting in there all
It's
the
an
time.
automatic 4 damage. It would stomp on. I think my biggest problem would be the 0/4 wall from the enchantment.
Oh wait, can you hover over 10th Street again? So he can't get around the walls. The
Correct.
defender. I
Correct.
didn't read that actually. Okay. So he may. I'll recant my previous statement. Sorry for disrespecting you, 10th Street. You're not a Jack Shaman. He's actually a playable Magic card when you build synergies. Cool.
Right? Because he sneaks around every card in Magic except the 0/4 wall, which I love to still feed the mana to this guy, so they have to kind of like force block it, which is great. So that guy's good.
Grim Spitter, great when there's nothing going on. He's gonna get in for two. And then with Obosh, is that so? He's gonna deal 4 or maybe even 6 with the Heraldic Banner. Because you go 2, 4, 5, 6. Because he gets that 1 damage goes to 2 damage, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So the Grim Initiate may be the worst one. It's sounding like it.
Grim Initiate is on the bottom of the list. However, you keep him in against all your sweeper decks, and you also keep him in because he has first strike. That card is good in that perspective.
Does the tokens from they don't get the plus damage from Obosh, do they? Is because 0's even. Right?
Correct. They don't get any bonus from the tokens whatsoever, so you lose value. And Heraldic Banner doesn't touch the tokens as well.
Ooh. And
so
Anax. Anax Heraldic Banner.
Yes, Anax hits the banner, but I was thinking of like some tech moves against the mirror by casting, Heraldic Banner and choosing black and going attack through this. Because there's sometimes where they would, I would have 2 Grim Initiates, they kill them, I get a token and it's a 2/2, right? And then if you
Yeah.
choose Heraldic Banner for black, it becomes a 3/2. So sometimes it gets a really silly.
Scenario pumps the Obosh too.
Yeah, it does. Oh yeah, it does pump the Obosh,
He's
right?
black.
It's not like the best. Obosh is so this makes Obosh makes all your little dorks so much better.
So
Right.
it's fairly straightforward. You're playing a lot of 1-drops. You're pumping them with your Heraldic Banner. You're pumping them with your Castle Embrent. You're ramping them and getting out that Obosh to double the damage, and you're just mainly getting damage on the ground. And there's not a lot of direct damage besides the shock and the giant. What's the main reason to play this deck? What are you beating a lot of?
Good question. What are you beating a lot of? Magic. Playing aggro, and you played aggro this season. You have two choices. You can either go under or you go over, right? You go under the combo and beat them before they set up their defenses, or you go over a deck while they cast their Luca or whatever. Like they set up their finisher and you're able to finish over them. So I believe your deck is more of an over deck. Mono red was more of an under deck. I felt that this deck had one extra tool that the original mono red Embercleave deck did not have.
What's that tool?
That tool is Obosh, and it's doubled damage ability. For example, casting shock does 4.
Ooh,
right?
Nice.
Spicy. You know what's even spicier? Red cap melee does 8.
Ooh, that doesn't kill anything.
Right? So this is something that original mono red just didn't have. I mean, like 8 damage at 1 red mana instant speed is freaking lit. Like,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Right? That's nuts, right? Like that is just that right there is amazing. Then you have Blazing Volley, which does double damage, and Chandra tokens, they just come out and they just bash for 4. Like it's crazy good. This is an extra set of circumstances, where
very go wide strategy. If you're looking to play an aggro go wide deck, this is the one, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think that this deck here had one extra tool that original mono red just didn't have, because original mono red was like you focus on bringing him down to single digit life total around turn 5, right? And then you just Embercleave them or slam down Torbrand and then just kind of get them, right? That's just like you kind of squeeze in the damage and just kind of trade. If they slam a lifelink, if they slam the 3/4 Pegasus, you just lose. They slam down super silly Dream Trawler, Dream Crusher, whatever you want to call it, like you just lose. With this deck, you for sure have an extra tool with Obosh and casting any other card really, and it doubles it.
One of the main differences too that you kind of already mentioned it briefly, but I want to go over in a little more detail, is that Obosh is certified. He's coming in when you get 5 mana, you got him in your hand every time. Torben, like you had to rock 4 legendary guys in your deck, and sometimes you don't draw him or you draw too many of him, and it makes your hand a little clunky, so to speak. So the fact that you can kind of just stash him right there is kind of nice, especially when you have the Heraldic Banner to make up for the fact that he costs 1 more mana than Torben. So that's cool. The only things that I think the weak cards, looking at it, like you said, was like the Phoenix of the Ash, maybe the Grim Initiate in some spots. But overall, I think this is a great go wide strategy.
It's just exactly what you said, hit it on the head. It's fun. I enjoy it. The mirrors, I think a lot of people forget how to play mono red mirrors. There's many teachers out there, but this is my favorite. If there was an MVP card, it would be an Obosh followed by Bone Crusher Giant. Those 2 guys is just the fire cards in here. And then the Heraldic Banner really just gives life to all these little 1/1 bros. And because there weren't any good 2/2s in the first place, it kind of just makes up for it. So yeah, I'm actually super excited with where mono red kind of made a comeback, like a slight comeback. and
Yeah,
I'm
I
hoping
think it's
forward.
definitely in the tier point 1.5. Like it's there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's not a tier one deck. I wish it was. Cycling still beats it. I think cycling isn't tier one, right? Like, what are the tier one decks? Hmm.
Cycling I think is a tier 1.5, tier one deck. Well, Yarn, why don't you go up, bring up all the decks and we can kind of do that. Or you
For
want
sure.
to do state of the game?
No, no, no. That's. I guess that can be two things, right? Two things.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Where did I find that? Here we go. All right, cool. Looks like we're gonna bring up some standard metagame tier list. Tier one: Jeskai, Yorion, Luca. So this next part of the podcast, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the game, the state of the game, some of our opinions, things of our delight, and we're gonna talk about the best decks in standard and the meta. All right. So I guess um, I've been on Twitch watching a lot of other streamers. I've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of research, and I've been getting a lot of common feedback from a lot of folk. They're telling me that Magic is very feels very stale and very toxic in a sense where everyone's playing the same 3 4 decks.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about that?
I think there is some merit to that. I think that the best decks in the format were very easy to identify very quickly, and that led to a quick paper rock scissors, or maybe just like paper rock, where paper was just demolishing rock all the time. And then I think the companions have a lot to do with that, but I don't think the format is necessarily solved. And the state of the game is kind of at a standstill, and I think a lot of that has to do with the lack of pro coverage and lack of pro meta and lack of GPs. This quarantine canceled a ton of events, and those events were, you know, innovation pools for all of us to see, the new decks that were coming out. So when it's just the ladder and you just focus on climbing and there's no, top level pros giving you new advice, and yeah, we kind of get stuck in our loops and stuck grinding, the same decks over and over. And just got Yorion Luca, I mean, is a very powerful strategy. I think the companions are a little too powerful personally. But I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, especially with all the new announcements, which we can go over later, with Magic taking away $2 million surprisingly, and canceling, pretty much killing the competitive scene. I think it's going to be a lot more of this moving forward.
That's interesting. Well, hey, well, I'm glad to get your take on this because what's right before that Red Bull Untapped tournament, right before, like, right when the newer decks are starting to come out, I was trying to look for another good aggro deck, so we can go ahead and look at some of these lists, some of this meta game list right here. It looks like we have at the top tier Jeskai, Lorian, Luca, followed by Boros Cycling. I don't know if this is a tier one. I want to put that in tier one. I see that whiffing. I see this deck whiffing a lot.
Wait,
I'm
Jessica, which one?
Boros Cycling. I wouldn't put that
Really?
tier one.
I think it's very strong.
Yeah,
You
I
made
think
it.
it's strong.
You made it.
Like,
You
I
made this
agree
out a
that
good
it's strong.
matchup because I know you only play red. It's not that great against red. I realized, because you can get their guys out of the way pretty easily, and they don't have that many tools to kind of take your guys down. But I think it's really strong in the late game against the Yorion Luka decks, and it keeps putting top eights down. So I think that deck is definitely a tier one, personally.
Yeah, my what do you think about Timber Reclamation? I still see this guy. I still see it clinging on to life. People love Reclamation. They're not letting it go.
I think it's tier one as well. I think this whole list is pretty accurate. The reason Teamer Reclamation is fourth on the tier one list is because it's a lot more difficult to play, and it takes a lot more time to grind it through the ladder. So That's a little undesirable for a lot of people just looking to get their games in, or maybe it's just not their play style. But overall, the deck, it's one of the few decks that can just ignore what Jeskai Luca is doing and just kill him with a big expansion explosion. It's people like to focus on fires as a double mana card, but the original double mana card is Wilderness Reclamation, and that card is giving you a ton of resources, which you can use your instants and sorceries to just blow them out of the water.
For sure. Um, Also, if I'm not playing mono red, believe it or not, I'm playing this beautiful deck. I think this deck is really, really good. Rakdos Sacrifice, or I coined it as Sacrifice, and I'm having the best time playing it. I feel it the most. It gives me the best feel out of all the decks. I play it like an aggro deck, and in the middle of the game, I switch gears and turn it into the sacrifice deck. What do you think of good old sacrifice?
I like it. I like Rakdos. I like Rakdos Sack, Luris, and I like the Obosh version too. I think they both have their differences. I really prefer the Obosh one because I love Mayhem Devil. I've always loved that card. It's just like does
First of
so
all,
many cool things.
I hate that card of the passion. That card is broke. I think that card is still broke,
It
and
is.
they should ban that card forever.
No, it's not ban worthy, but people will forget about their fabled passages and give you extra triggers. It triggers on both sides of the field, so I like it. I like the Loris one too. It's lower to the ground. Loris is obviously broken, but I still think that Boros Cycling is the best Loris deck. And honestly, I think the Mardu Knights Loris deck might even be on its way up to tier two, tier
Which
four.
one? Which deck? Which deck?
It's the Mardu Knights version of Loris. Maybe
Oh,
down below on
Knights.
the list if we get to it, but
That's
I think
right.
that deck is up and up.
Knights. All right. Here we go. We have good old Jeskai Karuga Fires. What do you think of Karuga Fires?
It's a classic. It's a classic. It's going to be beating those Sack and Obosh decks because you got that Clarion mains. And, it just does the combo 1-2 punch with the Cavaliers. It's an old trick. It's a good trick.
Karuga Fires. I was not too big of the Karuga Fires. Playing mono red, I would make sure I bash them until it's like the old school Fires deck, right? The one that made
Yeah.
it to Worlds, right?
Yeah.
They just I felt like it's the same exact deck, and they just tossed in Karuga, right? They're just like, let's put in Karuga, it's the same deck, right? I mean, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So
Yeah.
it's there it is, and they love playing that Karuga to get that one to draw like two cards. Like stop
Oh,
it,
yeah. It's
stop it.
spicy. It's spicy. Once they put the pedal to the metal, if they have a couple permanents out and they throw down Karuga, the deck was already good. Now the deck has this like a ancestral visions with a creature. Like sure.
Right? Like it was already a good card. And they just like, let's just draw more cards. Sweet. It looks like we have mono red.
We
um,
talked about that one.
right, that's
That's
a
a good.
good one. And then now we have
Have you
Jeskai.
tried the Omosh Rakdos sacrifice?
I have played. I have it.
You should try
Um,
it. I feel like you'll like it. It's pretty much like the mono red one, um, except you get to do other cool things too.
I play the Luris one. I love playing that one. If I'm not playing mono red, and in fact, now that I'm in Mythic, I only play um, Luris Sacrifice. So
Really?
that Luris Sacrifice deck.
You should
I,
try the Omosh sac. It's good.
you know what? I'll take your advice. I'll play you. We gotta.
It's pretty much like the Loris and the mono red deck put together. And I feel like you have all the cards for it too.
I don't have Teferis. I mean, that's for sure.
No, it doesn't run to fairy, but
Like,
you
all right,
can't. Yeah.
for sure.
Speaking of Jeskai, Winota. What do you think of Winota?
I think Winota is still a very powerful card in the format. I'm actually surprised. It was banned recently, right? It was banned in was it in
Uh,
Legacy?
I thought it was like Brawl or something.
Brawl. Yeah, it was banned. I think this deck is when it was introduced. I thought that it felt very Magic the Gathering, right? Like it felt very um sneak attack
Yeah,
you, do all sorts of cool stuff. It
pretty
felt very
cool.
like Legacy, very
You
like
know,
Magic the Gathering, where if you were new to the game of Magic, like all the other decks, like the top tier decks were very like straightforward. If you know how to read and you know how to count, those deck make sense. But if you've never played Magic before and you see Jeskai Winota and someone attacks you and you're like, okay, sure, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna start revealing the top cards of my library, and then like, here's a surprise, do steal your guy, you know what I mean? Like, it
yeah,
feels very Magic the Gathering, and I want to play this card, but there are some times, and because I play mono red, I see a lot of these matchups where Winota just whiffs, right? It just totally whiffs. Like you can get into another Winota, right?
yeah.
You can get into that, what is it, that 2/2 white creature that scries or gains you life or whatever, right?
You
Um
get agent.
like
Agent's the big one.
I feel like if you don't hit your cards, you totally whiff, and or if you don't have Winota, you're just like trying to top deck it. You're
It's just
just
a
kind of
really
like
bad
hanging out.
aggro. Yeah, it's just like a really mediocre aggro deck.
Yeah, with no tools. This deck doesn't have any tools. It's more just like it's like a very, yeah, like you said, mediocre aggro deck. And the cards, like it starts to make mono red creatures like look better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like a little better.
definitely agree.
Yeah. What do you think about that Winota deck?
Everything you said is pretty on spot on. I mean, the only card that can really steal games without Winota is the Legion War Boss that it runs.
That card's good.
Um, but we talked about why that card is good, why that card can steal a lot of games. But overall, I think the deck has too many holes. You are just in spots sometimes where you don't have Winota, and that's why they started running that incubation card to kind of dig for it. Once upon a time, it's not legal, but that card would have really boosted this deck, but that would have boosted a lot of decks. So, regardless, I think it has too many holes. The reason it's tier 2 is because when it does land the turn 4 Winota and you don't have any way to kill it that turn, you probably die.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
it has these really busted, like almost combo-y draws sometimes, but as with any combo deck, you have inconsistencies, and I think it has too many inconsistencies to be considered a top deck. So I'm off it personally.
Yeah. I don't think I was gonna continue. I When I first saw it, right? When I first saw Winota, when Ikoria came out, I thought this deck was the future. And as Magic started to progress, I was like, nah. So good. I'm glad that we're on the same page with Winota. Here we go, Mardu Knights. Here it is. This is the first aggro. This is the next aggro deck that's pretty top tier in Magic.
The one I think is on the rise. I think it's kind of like just another go wide aggro deck, but I really like the Knight synergies, especially the Fervent Champion. I think Fervent Champion is much better in Mardu Knights than it is in Obosh Red, because Fervent's just pumping whoever's on board, which is really great. And you also have your token generators, and you have Luris to get back your, Pump Knight, your Wizen Sen Knight. That's an old reference. I don't know if anyone,
Wizen Sen.
no one's gonna get that unless you play Lorwyn block. But if you know, you know. Um, yeah, I think it's a good deck. I think this is another good aggro deck with a lot of tools, and you also get tournament grounds, which the main thing that would have thrown me off the deck would be the mana, but you have actually pretty good mana because you have a tri-land untapped with two tri-lands with tournament grounds, and it gives equipment too. But yeah, I like the deck.
I've seen this deck in historic, believe it or not. I've seen something very similar in historic where they used the ancient ziggurat to make sure that cards are being played. So
Ooh,
yeah, because I know you had a complaint about the color fix, and last time we spoke.
that'd be dope.
Yeah, they need to bring if they brought tournament grounds to standard, like they put that in core 2021 or whatever, like
Yeah,
the rise of aggro decks, right?
for sure.
Very, very cool. Here we go. We have good old Jund Sacrifice. Now, what's the name of this dumb artifact? I've played against this deck once. I've seen it on
I'm
stream.
gonna
Other play.
check out that artifact. Click on the deck. Let's see.
Yeah. Have you seen this deck yet? Have you seen this Jund Sacrifice deck?
Yeah, this is an old deck. This is definitely this was like one of the best decks in the last standard. I haven't seen this one. I haven't seen a Citadel sacrifice.
You haven't seen
No.
this one? You
Oh
oh
no. What's this one
so
all about?
so it's the combination is
Why is it called
typically
done then if there's only green and black? Where's
because the
the
red is for your favorite guy that you just talked about. Oh, where is he? Oh, they didn't put him in this deck. Oh no,
maybe there's
I
click the
picked
other one.
I picked Sultai.
Click
This is
Soul
the
Type.
the Croaky
Yeah,
spell.
Croakies. Croakies is good.
So they connect this card. All right, you know what this card does, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They connect this card with this card, and then it's game.
Which card with which card? Oh, Mayhem Devil.
It's game. As soon as you resolve, it's over.
With which card?
Mayhem Devil
And who? And what's the other card?
and Bola Citadel. As soon as they
Oh.
connect those two cards, it's game over.
You may play the top card. Explain it to everyone. I don't understand it.
Okay, so everybody, what they do is they go turn one, Gilded Goose. You get a token. So this is your Llanowar Elf. You power out to a turn, three. Oh no! You do your utmost best to stay alive by playing your Cat Oven.
Yeah.
You play the Jund. You play the Cat Oven combo. Then you get to turn 5 Bolas Citadel. You have your 10 permanents. Then you activate it, right?
Deals that way.
You sacrifice 10 permanents. Your opponent loses 10 life. And guess what? You have a Mayhem Devil where you sacrifice 10 permanents. 10 permanents. It does 10 damage. So you just
So they did.
you just win.
That's
They did.
cool. I like that.
It's pretty. It. When I first saw this deck, it felt very Alex to me. It reminded me of you in every which way.
Yeah, I would play this deck for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was so. It was Alex, ladies and gentlemen, has a history of playing Getcha Gotcha decks.
Oh yeah, I love those
so
decks.
so
Coots.
yeah. If you guys don't know that much about him, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Alex has a very long history with decks that have a twist, and that right here, ladies and gentlemen, the Bola Citadel is a twist and a half.
That's pretty sweet. I like this idea.
Look at you. I can see you brewing it right now. Like,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna play this today.
you really haven't seen this deck yet.
No?
Well, then there it is. Go ahead and give it a go. I promise you, it's special. Like, just they pretend you pretend that it's full on Cat Oven, and then you switch gears with Bola Citadel and just win the game.
You can steal their guys. This is cool, yeah.
Yeah, totally worth it. 10 out of 10. Give it a go. Yeah, as soon as you resolve Bola Citadel, there's nothing they can do, and you remember it's like you pay with life for the top of your library with cards, so you just
can
get
cards, and if you don't have 10,
yeah, you just play your 10 permanents and then win the game.
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. So let me know your results when you get there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jund Sacrifice. It's tricky. It's a tricky deck. Yeah, it was pretty much if you remember the other Jund Sacrifice deck with the dragon, they just removed the dragon.
That one with the dragon.
Yeah, they took the dragon out and they put in that guy, and just so much better. That artifact, 10 out of 10.
Let's get that baby to tier 1.
Yeah, right. Try to break the format with that. Boom, 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 boom. Break the format with that.
Should we end with talking about the? I can give you kind of a brief synopsis of what happened a couple of days ago with Wizards of the Coast and the bannings.
Yeah. Is there a link? Is this on the Magic website?
Here, I can give you the link. Right now, I think Magic has only publicly given out the banning of the player, but I just sent you a link with kind of what had happened in a nutshell. Basically, the Magic the Gathering scene kind of rocked the world, and they banned a well-known competitive player by the name of Austin Birchwitz, uh, because he had sent some information that he had gotten from another MPL pro who had signed a non-disclosure agreement. Um, and basically, that information seemed to be giving MPL players a significant advantage for upcoming pro tours. So that's why he was banned. But in addition to this, Magic also restructured the prize pool for the Pro Tour, and there's about $2 million missing now. And it's understandable. Like I'm not gonna be the one here to bash Wizards or anything. I get it. You know, COVID happened, sales are down. Like the money has to come from somewhere. But there are a lot of unhappy players. There are a lot of unhappy pros, a lot of unhappy people that he got banned for, giving this information, and it's kind of a big scandal, honestly. So I don't know where it's gonna go from here. As if over the last 3 months, I've kind of just played Magic from a fun standpoint. You know, I used to go to GPs a lot. I used to grind PTQs a lot, but since those things are gone, I've kind of lost the interest in the competitive scene a little bit. But it's interesting more than anything. So yeah, that's kind of what happened in a nutshell.
That's well, that's very unfortunate, to hear what happened to the state of the game. There's a lot of people who love this game. There's a lot of people who love traveling in this game. A lot of people that connect. There's a lot of businesses who are also affected
Yeah,
because of what this guy did.
yeah,
Big picture, small picture, right? Like there's a lot of other small businesses out there who will suffer because of just one person's action. So yeah, that's scandals are very very few and far between in the Magic community. It's never something that brings to our attention that like people's actions and behaviors. It's typically the ones I've ever heard are like cheating, right? But leaking information, especially to give advantages to other players, those are probably the worst in the game. So I can feel for this the most. It's very unfortunate that this guy had to do had to leak information, share information that clearly was not privy to anybody else. But I hope
well,
we don't lose too many
and that
people. Hmm?
information that he was leaking was showing that the MPL players were getting information ahead of time. So, and who knows if it's true or not? They haven't really. Wizards of the Coast hasn't kind of come back with their statement yet. But it would be unfair if we didn't talk about it. I know every single podcast I've been listening to over the last weeks from a lot of pros and a lot of MPL players, they're all commenting on it. I have no personal comments. Like I said, I'm not a pro, nor was I going to be playing in the PT. Um, but I do know that it is, something that means a lot to other people. So, um,
Wanted to
yeah,
touch base. Okay, I hear you.
we should definitely like touch light on it. I don't know where it's going to go from here. Something that everyone I mean, if the main reason we're touching light on it is to just show that we also think it is important. I think it is important that Wizards comes back with a very thoughtful response,
Yeah,
um, and we'll
because
see what happens.
it is a business, right?
Of course,
And
and I understand that
yeah,
100%,
yeah,
especially with the play price and all the prices going down and whatnot. Like that's every business is doing that right now. So I don't take it personally, and a lot of people are upset about the prizes and the money. It's like COVID is affecting every business right now. So that's not surprising to me at all. But it's definitely this separate note of the banning and this guy and these non-disclosure agreements. It'd be interesting to see where this how this plays out.
yeah. Interesting. Well, thanks for bringing that up, Alex. It's really really interesting, guys. That's I hope the integrity of the game is will show. This is just an example of like what not to do, right? Moving forward in a game you like, in a game you love, and I hope that this is another lesson. I hope this can teach people out there to, not reap benefits or not do anything to where it can hurt the game or hurt yourself, especially if this is like your career. It looks like this guy who got banned, this is part of his career. It's something he loved to
Oh yeah,
do. So
yeah. He loved Magic. He played at the highest levels. He top eight at Grand Prix. So, they definitely took it serious when he revealed this information that wasn't supposed to be revealed. But on the same note, leaking that information kind of makes us all feel like, well, why do the pros get this extra advantage? Like they get to basically the information was that they found out that the Pro Tour was switching from one format to another format before everyone else did. So if you were on the MPL and you knew, then now you have extra time to start testing that format. And if you're not, if you're just a local grinder and you just, got
got
into
lucky. You got
you
invited.
thought it was going to be modern, and then you didn't know that in 2 weeks they're going to switch it to another format.
Commander
So
draft.
yeah, what? Oh, dang, I need to test commander draft now. Who knows what it actually is? But like that kind of stuff does matter. And
Yeah,
it
it does.
does need to be maintained fairly moving forward. So we'll see what happens.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing some of that, Alex. I really appreciate you helping me make sense of this game and talking about what we do here on Magic the Gathering Arena. Cool. You have anything else for me there, Alex?
Nope, that is it. I'll let you get to bed. I know it's really late over there.
I just want to say, I just want a personal thank you to Alex and everybody else who's watching. I know we have a handful of followers here and viewers. Thank you so very much. If you guys have any questions, we're gonna try to run this weekly, bi-weekly. Alex and we have different time zones. I'm here in Japan. It's a little 1 a.m.,
It
1:30.
works.
What's up?
I said it's tough with the time zones, but we'll make it work somehow.
Guys, we're gonna try to figure it out. But really do appreciate you guys being here, sharing time, effort, and energy. And Alex, I can't thank you.
We got these recorded too, so
Yeah, I want to make sure that we're gonna start launching these podcasts like on a platform to make sure that if in the future you guys can listen to more of what we're gonna have to say. So thank you so very much for hanging out with us, Alex. Thank you so very much for joining me along. And yeah, and enjoy, you guys. Have a very safe weekend. Wash your hands.
Yeah, you get some W's this week. Try that Obosh Red or the Obosh Blue Black.
Okay, okay. So this is our deal. This week, I'm gonna play Obosh Sacrifice, and
Yeah.
go ahead do the Jund.
You want me to do the Jun? I do the Jun. You do the Obosh. We'll talk about it next week.
There it is. That's what we'll talk about next week. There it is. And then we'll and another topic for next week. We can also talk about maybe the bannings if that's interesting to you, and slash or they announced Core Set 2021. I don't know if you saw that.
Woo! I'm excited about that one.
Right,
Anytime
because
I can put my hands on some new Magic cards. Let's do it.
right. I just felt that Ikoria just came out like last week or whatever.
I know, time flies. Well, it's been out for you guys for a while. It just came out for us 2 weeks ago, but previews never stop, can't stop, won't stop.
Fair enough. So those are the next two topics that we could probably touch on. If anything else, stay close to the podcast, guys. It's the Alex and Spencer podcast here on MTG Arena. And if you guys have any questions, hit us up. Alex, do you have any what are your links? I want everyone to hit you up. You have a Twitter, Instagram. I want to make sure I want to save that information and post that up.
Twitch, Blase Bui. You can hit me up on there. I may start streaming. Who knows? I gotta link up with you to get my streams going. But yeah, Blase Bui is my gamer tag on all portals: Discord, Twitch. I'll get a Facebook and stuff going. But BLASEBUI, one word, Blase Bui.
Blase Bui.
Blaze Bui.
Blaze Bui.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure I'll put that on there. Was that Blaze Bui?
Shout out to Amazing Discoveries. They gave me this shirt. Support local businesses. Brute Force Games in San Diego as well. Shout out.
Hey, we see if we can get Brute Force Games to sponsor this podcast, man. Talk to that dude.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Later, brother.
Have a good one, man. Stay safe. Be safe. All right, everybody. Then that was good old Alex. I appreciate everyone here on the podcast. Thank you so very much for joining me along. You guys are the best. Enjoy yourself. I'll make sure that we have better tags for Alex. You guys have yourself a great, safe rest of your night. And I'm going to post this podcast up. Peace, y'all.